different approaches, right? We've seen plenty of maps like Volcano lend itself to more of those brawl style compositions. I'm very gaslit by the graphics, so I'm going to assume it's Samoa going forward here and stick with that. But I still haven't seen a team coached by Mauricio Honorado ever lose a game.
Yeah,
well, so I've got a lot of confidence in Brazil in that sense.
Hey, the history writes itself. Honestly, we're moving forward into Samoa. You aren't being gaslit by the graphics. But as you said, this isn't very traditional to what you would play dive on. You would usually play the Sigma. We've seen almost every team so far in this tournament play that Sigma mirror. That's when you play the high damage, which is what I would expect from both teams. But with Backbone on support, I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. And from the looks of what Brazil are playing as well, that's Le Seraphim. Well, honestly, I'm about it.
Yeah, coming up with the Le Seraphim composition here. Niall, we actually saw play a lot of Mercy on control maps so far. But no surprise to see this more dive look here from Great Britain. Backbone, I mean, the bone back mean comes from him actually playing Zenyatta on that Spitfire team when they didn't really have like a dedicated Zen player. And he was really nasty. So my mind, of course, going to be on that Echo. And out of the gates we come, Brazil about to switch over to what we start to consider a pretty standard look for this map. The variation, though, comes in that Tracer and Echo slot, as Ludwig will be on the former.
And I love to see it. We're moving away from what most of the teams have been playing on the Sigma. We're playing a very honest dive setup. We have the Doomfist coming out of both sides, but the major difference comes from my moon being on the Echo with that high damage output against the Ludwig Tracer, which honestly has shown glimpses of brilliance from time to time in this tournament.
Kai takes note of Ludwig's position there on that low ground. Something to be aware of as that Tracer starts to encroach a little bit further, but look at that Kai. As soon as he gets the indicator of a headshot with the left click, he just smashes that right mouse button and finds an insta-kill. Mamone gets picked up here by a whip shot, though, in a 4v4. The Gear's taking a ton of damage up front and personal. And even with that power block, Ludwig is the one revealed when the Doom steps out of the way, and Kai, he's just gobbling them up right now.
We felt this wrath yesterday for Team Australia, but Kai has been exceptional in this tournament. He's just been almost one-tricking this Sojin and finding value time after time. It's not just his aim that's exceptional, it's his positioning. You saw him in that fight. He's just standing on the sidelines, not even getting looked at by anyone because he's in the right spot at the right time, just picking people off one by one.
Mamone switches over to the Tracer here. Great Britain want to mirror these compositions, but even with the Tracer, Brazil put very little pressure on Kai's position. Even now, Kai is just sort of pivoting around the rest of his team, actually playing as a little bit of a loose end, but all eyes are turned towards Jaikaru in the back line of Great Britain. The former gets hit by a body grenade there, and Gear's able to finish the job. Backbone now might be under some scrutiny here, and that'll be 2 for the Doomfist player. The serious Gear ain't taking any prisoners so far. Brazil finally gets some capture percentage. You're running hot here. Can they turn this one around? He's still very, very healthy in a pulse deployed here for Funny Astro. That might punish that ult use there.
But Kai's still alive and doing so much damage, and Jaikaru is back in this fight. Flip has gone over to Brazil, so now all they have to do is slow everything down, control the point, because at this point, Great Britain's are the ones who has to clear Brazil off and get that capture back.
They want to go with 3 here. Stop straight away. Jaikaru going to push the back line. A mutual knockdown. The shield bash there means that Niall can trade himself for a Doomfist kill. You've got to feel good about that. Kai sees the enemy Doomfist lit up like a Christmas tree, but he's so focused on the back line until they move out of that line of sight. He can't put enough pressure on Kai, who still gets to rule the roost as Great Britain look to flip it back.
Ooh, it was close. I love the idea there from No to just try and punish Jaikaru, but he gets punished himself. So now it's going to be Great Britain taking back control. But Jaikaru is the only ultimate, and Doomfist ultimate doesn't really get you a lot to work with. So it's going to be on Svenko for Team Brazil to start finding picks. He needs to start matching Kai in this Sojin mirror if they're going to get control of this point back.
Kai knows exactly where he is. Svenko is not playing as a loose element from the rest of his team. So when Jaikaru comes to call, he will be in that mass of players. Again, gets spotted out, and Kai wins it. Bores a steaming hole through Svenko's head, and now we've got a 5 versus 3 favoring Great Britain. And that capture percentage is ticking up. Niall able to find Jaikaru, but the damage is surely already done. Svenko coming back off respawn was just Ski, and there was no chance at a flip there. He was just hanging around for no reason.
Yeah, Svenko is sort of like, trying to find some targets, peeks his head out for a second, and Kai rips it off. Was able to hold on to the overclock, so they will have that big tool coming back into this fight. But at this point, Great Britain, they're one fight territory, and with Mamone going down though, that should give Brazil an opportunity to get an advantage.
It's not the seismic slam, was just the extra damage that was required to finish off Mamone there. Svenko now gets to play for the high ground, but opts to give it up in order to get a little bit closer to his intended targets. The pulse bomb though from Ludwig claims Backbone. And that's a win condition satisfied for Team Brazil. They will flip now at 45.
And it's interesting to see Jkaru make this switch over to the Winston. I'm trying to understand why this decision has been made. Usually Doomfist is a lot more self-sustainable. You have the block, you can move around faster. But Jkaru moving over to this Winston potentially thinks he can execute plays, maybe play a little bit more defensive. Tries to drop a bubble on Funny Astro, but doesn't keep him alive.
Losing the big at the start of the fight, not a great look. Backbone desperately trying to work towards that nano boost. Should Jkaru need it? Just teasing G around the corner, but you definitely don't feel favored as Winston in the tank head-to-head, constantly getting knocked away from where you need to be, especially when you have to try and put the bubble in the right place to add some defensive utility. Backbone has that nano now. Speculative Bionade, no connection, Scott.
We need to see Brazil get their support ultimates online. If they don't get to them, they're not going to have the sustainability to get through this fight.
Jkaru now nano looking for Svenko here, trying to get up in his face. Kai elsewhere found a headshot on Xfel, so that's an Ana out of the picture. Niall might have to pop the rally here just for the extra healing, and they do, but it might be too late. Gee was in no position to receive the healing. The absolute wrong postcode, in fact. And now we're in overtime. Funny Astro wants to head straight towards Svenko, who had no choice but just stand there and be counted. As Great Britain, after a bit of back and forth, will take downtown. It's a little bit more competitive, but outside of that, Australia really aren't able to put too much pressure on them either. And honestly, that's what you get kind of coming out of these groups sometimes, Scott, is that sometimes the power disparity is so present that you don't really get a good check on these teams until they hit the single elimination bracket.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's been most impressive to me about Great Britain from their matches is, yes, obviously we're getting that individual brilliance. You know, we have obviously Funny Astro on the Lucio. Backbone has been great, probably one of the best mays we have in the world, and Kai obviously on the Sojin. But it's been their coordination and synergy, especially against Australia yesterday, going up against the Reinhardt compositions. They were playing as one, they understood exactly their win condition, and they were executing at a high level. And that's what happens when you have a coach of the caliber of Christopher as the head coach. He won the 2022 Coach of the Year for the Overwatch League. He's very smart and understands how to play to his team's strengths.
The last time we got to see Great Britain at a big tournament like this one, 2019 was actually a pretty rough showing for them. They were very underpowered this particular year, and they're actually end up in a group with the United States, France, South Korea, and Sweden. So really difficult group. They come out of that group only winning 2 maps out of 12. They go 0-4 in the end, and they have a very quiet one. So, you know, in more recent history, not as an exciting a prospect. In 2018, though, it's a 4th place finish. They give us this incredible game, you know, against the United States. Great Britain win 3-1, and then they have to face South Korea in the semi. So we all know how that goes, but there's a lot of history behind this region. They always turn up when it counts, and honestly, that kind of makes me feel like this year should go a similar way based on these kind of individuals they got on this team. Kai, yeah, he's had a quieter year, I get it. I mean, but in the past, he's been one of the most frightening Western hit players that you've ever seen. Absolutely filthy stuff here. Volcano on the docket next, Scott.
Yeah, looks like Jkaru is going to stick with the Winston, realizing that they're going to potentially be in that Doomfist mirror. Doesn't want to take it. Feels confident to play the Winston. Maybe we will. I liked your point earlier of like the Ana nano boost onto the Winston is a lot more effective than putting it on your Doomfist. And if you don't want to put it over the nano boost over to your Sojin, it's a great target. Biotic nade from Backbone slows things down for Brazil. Great Britain's going to take the point, while you can see Brazil, they just want to sit on the high ground, have their backline in a safe position.
It feels like a little more efficient than giving a nano over towards your Brig, as is often the case in these matchups. Oh, there it is, Kai again. This guy doesn't need a nano boost at all. This guy's juiced to the gills already. Straight to the point, go Great Britain. That one pick is more than enough to put you in a position just to cap straight away. And I think Brazil agree. They are headed for the hills.
I almost wonder as well, the reason Jkaru is playing the Winston is Winston zones dramatically better than the Doomfist. So it's almost just putting more of your eggs in the Kai basket. Just Jkaru gives him the space, makes himself a threat, and that just gives Kai the opportunity to find picks exactly like that. And right now, Kai's coming up with them, and Brazil don't have an answer.
Yeah, also, Doomfist is really susceptible to sleep dart. Winston throws down a bubble and can't be touched by that, but if Doomfist is standing in the open, just like we saw from Guy, in power block, and you sleep him, it's all over for the Doom. That damage mitigation is gone. He just gets wiped off the map. Speaking of which, Xfel just vaporized there under that pulse bomb scrutiny from Mimone, and this time, yeah, Great Britain are looking to try and go for a complete shutout on this round.
Yeah, that just, once your Ana's dead, there's nothing else that you can do. Great Britain slowly start to get some staggers. They step back up once again, but Brazil, they haven't even had an opportunity to play the game yet. Maybe with some of these ultimates coming up, Ludwig has a pulse bomb of their own. Maybe they can hit another great pulse bomb onto Backbone and Xvel with the nano boost. Let's see if they do decide to put this over onto the Doomfist. We talked about how that can be a little lackluster at times, and there he goes.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what comes Gi. Kai gets finished off there as he was in the animation of being punched back into a wall. It's an easy shot for Svenko to land. Great Britain might have to concede the point here. Nicely done. Nano boost though helps Gi get right up in the face of Great Britain. And we talk about candidacy for that ability. At least the damage reduction is very helpful for the Doom.
It wasn't lackluster at all. Gi absolutely pounding Great Britain into the ground with that one. But fortunately for Great Britain, they didn't have to use a single ultimate. They're coming up to 5, Mitch. How are they going to utilize all of these? They could just nano Jkaru in back deep, but he has the Primal Rage. But Funny Astro falling early. Do they even want to commit any ultimates at all?
Yep, going for the Primal Rage pretty much straight away. Jkaru hit by a Bio Neighbor. Doesn't seem to be too bothered. This could be nasty. Xvel can't get back up onto the platform. That's a freebie, but they can't keep Jkaru standing. Even though Backbone has a decent sideline, it doesn't matter. Maimone's going to be there with a double pulse. Nio and Svenko both taken down by that ability, and you're reeling. How do you pick yourself back up from that? Maimone is far from done as well. Look how low Gi is, and he wants to pursue. Just a little bit more damage would have got it done, but Great Britain happy enough with a point flip.
Gi tries to draw it back, but that double kill from Maimone was enormous. And with Ludwig falling so late in this fight as well, and Great Britain moving over to the Reinhardt, they might push the objective here. They can get in the face of Brazil and take them down. They won't even get another fight.
Orion coming out here for Great Britain as Jkaru makes the switch, and my goodness, he makes an impact instantly. And I'm not talking about the shockwave from the hammer. Xvel down immediately. Nio can't escape that second rail that came out from Kai. An attempt at a back cap will surely be stymied here, as it's just Ludwig to try and keep Brazil alive, and it is a hope that is short-lived indeed. Xvel will have a brief touch, and over the top comes Gi. We have a switch to the Moira now. It's all about mobility. It's all about desperation for Team Brazil, but Great Britain put the foot down just as Nio gets the touch. Jkaru taking his hands off the keyboard. He's had his time, and now it's time for a break. What is he doing in that chair?
He's chilling.
That is a JDM posture in that seat.
Not advised. Do not recommend this posture at all when you do your game, and I think he was just pulling that one back after some very clean play. But honestly, Great Britain showing why they're the #1 seed in this Group B. They are just flawless. They have the idea of how they want to play around their own synergies, but then once again, an individual player popping off for them. Maimone with the big pulse bomb double kill really put the nail in the coffin for Brazil on Samoa.
That look on Funny Astro's face means play the game was scored by someone from Brazil, and he strongly disagrees with the algorithm's decision. It looked like he'd had a bad smell waft his way. Yep, Great Britain, plenty of horsing around over the course of this particular map, whether it's in-game or reaching for the knobs on the sides of each other's headsets and turning the directional audio into different directions. Still, though, when it comes to the gameplay, pretty clean in that second round. The first one was much more back and forth, even with Kai making it so hard. You could argue that Jkaru takes a tank pick that's weaker in, the role head-to-head, but has more utility, and it pays off. This pulse, though, saves the fight in a big way from Maimone.
Yeah, Yol tries to save them by bashing into his teammate that's pulse bomb, but it doesn't work like that. It ends up sacrificing themselves. So honestly, I respect the dedication, but maybe not the best play.
Yeah, not what you want to see. Let me guess. Circuit Royal?
Don't you dare say it. No, come on, mate. I'm so sick of seeing Circuit Royale. Someone pick something else, please.
In fairness, it depends on what kind of composition Brazil want to go for. Gi obviously a Doomfist player. Maybe they have an interest in trying to go back towards Sigma compositions. It's something that, the United Kingdom played quite a lot of and really punished Team Australia, for example, who were really adamant that the Reinhardt, the Symmetra composition was the way to go. It's going to be Blizzard World for our next map here, Scott, so nothing to worry about here.
Love to see it.
Opportunity to play those dive comps if you like them. More likely, though, that we do see these Sigma looks. This is Group B, everybody. Their last match in this group. The United Kingdom already locked for BlizzCon, but it's time to see if Brazil can get some pride back. That's what's on the line, so don't go too far. This is the 2023 World Cup. And negatives of it here as he tries to outdo the Serious Gi in terms of that disruption. Looks a lot better when he's given that nano boost, another offensive weapon in the arsenal for Team Great Britain. We're heading over to Blizzard World. We're seeing some fairly one-sided showings at times. Teams have also opted to bring the Zenyatta into their lineups, especially against poke compositions with that Sigma in there. That's a hero that Backbone is uniquely well positioned to pilot here. May not be getting that, but it's something that is well worth getting excited for. And yeah, we saw Team Japan also want to try and bring the Illari in as much as possible here. So Brazil also agree, which is a great look alongside the Ana.
We saw the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia just yesterday, full hold on the second point. Team USA, if you can get into position and you can play on these high grounds, just rain down damage, it becomes very difficult for the opposition team to just move around the map. And I'm curious to see how much success it's going to have, because yes, the Illari is great against immobile compositions, but Great Britain, they showed it on the first map on Samoa, and they're showing it right now in the spawn room. They're going to go quick, and they're going to have shots. And you're also, as Nyol, you gotta really be careful of Kai on the Sojourn. You peek your head out for too long, he'll take it off.
It's maybe the last time you get to see Team Brazil take to the arena in our 2023 World Cup. Loss on this map means it's all over for them. Already mathematically eliminated from this Group B. Now they're fighting just to leave it all out there. Svenko a couple of shots to warn Kai away from that high ground. It is the Jkaru Winston pick now as he goes up there just to exchange pleasantries and try and contest that high ground. You do not want to let Great Britain settle into this, but Jkaru's already gotten rid of that key healing pylon. It looks like he's happy enough with that.
Yeah, he's not trying to find any picks. He's just trying to take that position away from Brazil, give the rest of his team space to move forward. And that's exactly what they're doing with Guy getting so low as well. All of a sudden, Great Britain have control of the point. Guy falls, and all of a sudden, this is desperation mode for Brazil. They're going to have to touch the point, but they don't even have a tank to do it.
Got nothing to work with here as the Doomfist is already picked off now. Jkaru will just wrap around and go and find Svenko, as that was the loose end left behind by Brazil to offer some token level of resistance on point A. 5 minutes and 22 on the clock here as Great Britain continue to march on.
Yeah, and Jkaru is just putting on a masterclass of how you play the Winston. He's not overextending himself. He's not trying to do too much. He's just making himself a threat and allowing the rest of his team to take over. While Guy, you can see him, he feels like he's the one who has to keep making the plays. He has to go deep. He needs to find the picks, and at times he's getting punished for just that level of aggression.
The bio might slow him down, but Backbone doesn't have a sleep available. It's Maimon losing out in the Tracer battle to Ludwig, but this nano on Jkaru is such a problem, and it looks like Brazil don't have the mechanisms to stave this electrified Winston off their backline. Jkaru trying to get back to his team, probably calling for healing desperately here now as Guy wants to try and accost him before that happens, but no, Backbone eventually sends administrations the direction of his tank, and Great Britain are ready to go again.
Cute little sidestep from Jkaru on the Winston to dodge the sleep from Xvel. The Ana sleep is really the biggest threat to a Winston, but Jkaru reads it like a book, sidestep, and then from there, there's nothing that they can do. And the card keeps moving, and now Kai has the overclock Mamo with another pulse bomb, but there's a response already from Brazil. They take down Jkaru, and the pulse bomb got the pylon, so, you know, that's good for them.
Value?
Sort of. Questionable.
Great Britain here slowed up somewhat, of course, with the loss of Jkaru. Kai not bothered here. Yep, just gonna move out, take the shot, and get a free call. Are you kidding? Guy steps up to try and fill Kai's field of view, and he just ignores the guy. Captive Son, you are kidding me. Niall takes a huge risk, and Jkaru was there to drag that Illari right back down to earth.
Brazil just couldn't punish Great Britain because they were so defensive in the room, and Kai, he's going to hit that shot eventually. I like the idea to pop the Captive Son by Nyol, but like, you're in the air, flying around with an overclocked Sojourn looking in your face. There's nothing you're going to be able to do from there. And 5 minutes on the clock for Great Britain to get through this third point, and they have the ultimates to boot as well.
Oh, man. Kronos probably feeling a little like Lenkster right now. He gets to come in for Great Britain and spends most of the time driving that cart.
Love your work, hey? You know, we got to appreciate our cart drivers because, you know, all the DPS like to think they're overpowered and then they get to go forward. I appreciate us main supports out there. Nano overclock for Svenko takes down 2.
Okay, like fair enough, bro. This is maybe a better candidate for that than the Doomfist. Svenko gets a lot of that damage reduction. That means you can play slightly more aggressively. And finally, Team Brazil win a fight here. They spend a fair bit to get it done, though. Nano and that overclock, in many cases, sometimes just the overclock enough to be a fight win if you can follow up with that aim. Regardless, Brazil get a little bit of breathing room, but it'll be short-lived as Great Britain come back in, and they're going to have a primal rage for Jkaru.
And that allows him to go very aggressive without the threat of dying. Pops the Primal Rage, trying to get Svenko so low. Great juggle. Does manage to get the punch on this one. Ludwig needs to go big with his Pulse Bomb, but goes a little wide.
No stick there, enough for Backbone to be able to step away from it. A second Biotic Grenade coming in J-Karu's direction, but he's able to get away yet again. The Pulse is good, and Maimoon takes down another support. I think Ludwig just walked into that one there. Maybe he was trying to blink forward for a quick melee finish off on Maimoon, but he was absolutely unbothered. 3:35 to play. Great Britain now are stuffing Brazil back where they came from.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Brazil, they have to desperation touch. Guy gets on the point, but then Ludwig tries to follow up, and Kai's already taken them down. Guy has to go enormous.
Sleep! Big one there from Backboners. Guy is forced to now pull out and go for the ultimate. Backbone, though, might be ready for this. Another body grenade, and yes, Cronus comes to the rescue. The whip shot claims the Doom Fist. Audacious play indeed from Guy, and all that effort to try and get the one kill goes by the wayside. As he flies through the air, Svenko's able to send a shot in Kai's direction. A glancing blow, though, as Kai is still more than happy to play aggressive, play close to the card, hold on to that rail, just as Ludwig showed his kneecaps underneath the card. He got a defensive Biotic Grenade there, but it's just not enough healing to keep him standing, and eventually Great Britain will overrun. Hands of Steel by Kai. I would have popped that overclock like 10 seconds earlier and had no one to shoot at, but he understood. Just wait until Brazil has to come to the cart, and then it's going to be a shooting range for him. Takes down Ludwig, takes down the Doom Fist, and Brazil just falling over to the scrutiny of Great Britain. And honestly, we talk about the great players on Great Britain, you know, Backbones, Kai's, your Overwatch League players. Maimoon has been impressing me a lot so far in this World Cup. His ability to play the flex support from time to time, but also the Echo and his Tracer, his sticks especially, have been exceptional so far in this series. Yeah, Maimoon ended Samoa at 12 final blows and 3 deaths. With 2 out of 3, I think, yeah, like it's like a 0.75 pulse bomb efficiency. So yeah, 3 out of 4 pulse bombs getting kills in general. Very, very strong. Kai was 14-1, but don't worry about that.
Don't worry about him.
We're talking about that. We're talking about the young rider here, you know what I'm saying? Here's J-Karu though. This constant pressure from the Winston though, really, really hard for Brazil to answer. They don't have an answer to J-Karu if he's able to avoid a sleep.
And that really becomes the issue, and what makes Winston so great is like he's not doing a ton of damage, but he's just a never-ending threat that, as you said, Mitch, Brazil don't really have an answer to because they're losing out in so many of the other matchups. And Guy feels like he's always in damage control, just trying to get heals. Feels like no one's able to feed off of each other, and J-Karu is just feeding for free. And now we get to see what Great Britain are going to do on their own defense, sticking with the Winston against the Guy Doomfist.
It's the first port of call here for Team Brazil. He's trying to understand what kind of presence there is up on this high ground. Actually, no Sojourn playing from here. Kai can obviously transition, but he has that off angle, that nasty off angle. Svenko Riddle looking like Swiss cheese out there, and Kai is so comfortable here because can you dive this spot? He just slides up to the high ground, back to both of his supports. Yeah, he just gets to play uncontested.
And the issue that Brazil are happening is that Guy is always getting pressured, and every time he's going on is finding support, and Ludwig, he just can't even walk in. Every time he shows his face, he's just getting taken down, and
Tracer.
Bad to worse for Brazil right now.
And again, this is for people that play a lot of Sojourn, you're probably really familiar with this, but the second Kai gets a headshot indicator, he just hits that rail if he has it available. Especially with like the lowest speed that Ludwig is moving there. Yeah, I mean, you can really take Tracer down with these burst damage effects. There's nothing you can do to blink away from them. Svenko spotted on the high ground. Yep. Warning shot from Kai, and that's going to be followed up on by Maimoon, who's mating on the high ground.
Yeah, and something that Kai does that is so smart if you just watch him as we stick on his POV is he charges up his rail. Everything is cycled. He's just trying to get up the rail, and then he takes it very slow. He's not rushing the shot. He just waits, puts out a little bit of pressure, and then as soon as they dive and put all this pressure on, you see the support that's coming through by the Great Britain backline. He does get one, but at the cost of his own life.
Kai lived through so much there. Both supports in Great Britain making sure the Sojourn could also like command a lot of threat, but live through it there. We're already down to 2 minutes and 22 seconds left to play. Brazil have laboriously managed to develop some of these ultimates here, and XFL is pretty close to a nano, but who gets it here? You're not going to wait to combine it with an overclock? That doesn't make any sense.
Guy has been getting it, but it's had mixed success, right? He's found some value a couple of times, but usually the fight's already devolved to be able to get it. He needs it to just give him protection, get that extra health, but gets anti-healed, so he can't even get the nano boost to get that over health, and falls before the nano even goes out. Ludwig does respond back onto J-Karu, so no tanks for either side.
Overclock available though for Kai. Backbone's hit with a Bardic Grenade, and Svenko wants to go upstairs, and there's nothing Great Britain can do about it. Great little play made there by Svenko, seeing an opportunity to get a 1 versus 1 against the support already anti-healed. Kai only able to find the 1 kill from that Overclock, and eventually Ludwig is able to finish him off. He notes that mostly Great Britain back off into that side room, and Cronus has Rally active here. So stun up, I think, and now it's going to be Jkaru pushing out, forcing Svenko to that lie ground. Maimon maybe hoping to try and get the finishing blow on a Tracer, or maybe this Brig. Yeah, Primal Rage is going to do most of that work though. And Geek's forced into power block here. The stick, okay, still in power block, so most of that mitigated here, but he's still under a lot of pressure.
And Jkaru is utilizing his health pool so well. Goes aggressively, pops the Primal Rage at the last second, takes down Yol, and then lives with a sliver of health as well, and helps Great Britain hold this one. And another sliver of health. This man does not die.
Cronus can hardly believe it. He's like, I don't know if I'm taking credit for that one.
Yeah.
Trying to keep you alive. Okay, so Lucio Brig here. Backbone maybe wanting to get back into the fight quickly.
Yeah, they have the AoE healing now, but they've lost that big direct healing from the Ana, so Jkaru is going to have to play slow. You can see his health pool just is not going back up. He goes in, pops the Meteor Strike, but he's so low. If he drops in the enemy team, he's just going to instantly fall. So an ultimate that goes by the wayside, and another pick by Great Britain, this time on the Svenko.
Backbone might be in trouble here. Being chased by Ludwig as we speak. Cronus though to the rescue, and Kai punishes the Ludwig as he's looking for the Lucio. Somehow Backbone's still in it, also getting closer to that sound barrier here. A pulse bomb by Wymo. Gonna catch
Someone's gonna touch. He's trying to just stay alive. Svenko does make it on the Sombra. Very easy to get to the point. Hits the hack, but Kai says no.
You're not getting away with that. No chance. Ludwig might attempt to touch, but it's far too late for that. And there it is. Victory for Great Britain. A hold on point A of Blizzard World, and that's the last